Hi, my name is Kate, and today I'm going to teach you how to self-publish your book using Amazon. For those of you who don't know me, I have been self-publishing my books since 2019, but really found my success in 2020 when I made $50,000 just from self-publishing through Amazon. That's why today I'm going to try to teach you how to make money self-publishing through Amazon so that you can succeed and find your own sort of financial freedom. The first thing to consider when you're self-publishing is whether or not you want to do one book or a series. Now, I've personally found that a series will sell a lot better, especially if it's 3 to 5 books. And this is because your readers are going to have a connection to your characters. They're going to be interested in the stories that you tell because they have these characters that they're familiar with and they want to read more about them. Even if you're writing a series that's interconnected vaguely, like the character for book 2 was introduced in book 1, that's still going to get you a lot more readers than if you were to just self-publish individual books that have absolutely nothing to do with each other. The best way to self-publish a series that I've found is using the rapid release method, where you're releasing a book approximately once every 30 days or even more. The reason for this is because Amazon's algorithm kind of drops you off the charts after 30 days, and then it goes even lower after 60, and then even lower after 90. So if you constantly have a book out within those 30 days of each other, Amazon is going to keep promoting you and people are going to keep seeing you whenever they're looking for books in your genre. Now, I know it can be really hard to think of how you're supposed to publish a book every 30 days. However, don't worry, it's not as hard as it might seem. I personally write a book every month, and each book that I write within that month is set to be released by the end of the same month. A lot of people do something else where they create what's called a backlist, and this is where they write the books in advance and then set their self-publishing schedule a few months or a year in advance so that they have this rapid release schedule already set up where the books are already finished, and that makes it a lot easier if you write a bit slower. To write books quickly, I use a 16-step outline, which I'm going to post just a little image here so that you can see it. And I also have a video earlier on that's not as good, but it's very, very detailed on a 16-step outline that I actually used for one of my books. And you can find that in my profile here. So I use these 16 steps. I write a sentence or two detailing what happens in each step of the plot, and then I go on and do writing sprints. Writing sprints are where you set a timer, like on your phone or your computer, or you just keep track of the time, and you write for about 20 to 30 minutes, or one of my friends does an hour because it helps her get into the writing mode, and then you take about a 15-minute break, or even as low as a 5-minute break in between each sprint. Now, the reason that this works is because you're sort of racing against the clock or even racing against yourself or other writers whenever you're doing these writing sprints. This is a way to keep you motivated and keep you writing, and this is how I generally write about 5,000 to 10,000 words a day. Before I started using this writing sprint method, especially along with my 16-step outline process, I was writing maybe 1,000 words a day. So being able to go from barely 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 a day on my writing days was astronomical in my success, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without writing this quickly. So you don't necessarily have to write 5,000 to 10,000 words a day, but just getting this writing sprint schedule and getting yourself used to writing consistently for at least half an hour at a time, multiple times a day, is really going to set you up for success. The next thing you need to do is edit your book, and this is making sure that your book doesn't have grammatical errors or continuity errors, and that the story all makes sense together. You can either edit the book yourself, or if you're not as proficient in the English language or in writing craft, you might hire a freelance editor who can do this for you. This is going to be costly, but it's absolutely worth it to have the best book out there that you can. Now, the next thing you're going to look at is cover design. You want a beautiful cover that matches your genre so that people look at your cover and say, wow, this is the book I want to read. Because if your cover doesn't look good, then people aren't going to read your book. I have a few classes, which I'll link below, on creating your own cover, or you can go into Facebook groups like Book Cover Design Gallery to find other designers who design covers, and you can buy pre-made covers or have a custom cover made for your book specifically. Please comment below if you have any questions about this process, about getting your book set up so that it is ready for self-publishing. So the next thing you're going to do is get your book ready to publish on Amazon. This is fairly easy. You just need a KDP account. So you go to kdp.amazon.com, which this right here. So whenever you go to this website, you're just going to sign in using your Amazon account, or if you don't have one, you'll need to make one. It's a very simple process and it's 100% free. The way that Amazon makes money through KDP is they take a percentage of your profits from each book, so you don't actually have to pay any money out of pocket to publish through them. Whenever you get on Amazon and you're in KDP, you're going to create your ebook or create your paperback. I highly recommend doing an ebook. That's where most of my sales come from. I'd say 99% of my sales are from ebooks. When you get in there, you're going to fill out the information, fill out each step carefully, make sure that you have your book title, make sure you have your author name, which might not be the same as your legal name. For me, it's not. I use pen names for absolutely everything except for my self-help books, which are linked in the comments below. And so then once you go through this process and you add your cover and you make sure everything is set up, on the third and final page is where you're going to set your pricing. But at the very top, there's also going to be this thing that says, enroll your book in KDP Select. I highly recommend doing this. 80% of my sales come from people who subscribe to Kindle Unlimited. This is a $10 a month service where people can read any books that are subscribed in that service, and then they divide all of the money that they get from subscribers among authors based on the number of pages that have been read in your books. So this is a massive way to make money. I think I would have to say that about $40,000 of my income last year alone came from Kindle Unlimited. And this is especially good if you're writing fiction versus nonfiction or versus low content books. For nonfiction and low content, I always just do paid. I don't do Kindle Unlimited. But for every piece of fiction I've ever published, I enroll it in KDP Select. And the reason for this is because people are a lot less likely to spend money on an author that they're not familiar with, but if they're enrolled in Kindle Unlimited, they don't have to spend extra money to read your book. Therefore, you'll gain a lot more fans, you'll get a lot more reviews on your books, hopefully positive ones, and this will make it a lot easier for you to make money with future books because you're building this reader base, which is amazing. I would say that Kindle Unlimited is the greatest asset that I've ever done, because not only does it bring me more readers, but it brings me a lot more money so that I can afford to, pay my rent and stuff. So after your book is published and out there, the next thing you need to consider is marketing. There are a lot of different ways, and marketing is the most confusing thing in the world, but there's thousands of ways you can market your book without spending a dime. I personally don't spend any money on marketing. I just post about my books in free Facebook groups and have people come to me. Now, I don't post a picture of my book cover and say, hey, read my book, here's the blurb. Instead, what I do is I get people interested and invested in my book before the book is even out. For example, my first book that I published in 2020 was an entirely new genre. It was something that I had not even considered writing before, but I joined a bunch of groups that were relevant to the book, and then I chose some pretty pictures of dresses and shared them in the group and said, hey, of these 3 dresses, which dress should my main character wear at the end of the book? And so at that point, I had people commenting. I linked my personal Facebook group that I had made for my author name and for these books. And it had people joining my group. It had people talking about my books before it was even out. I had over 100 members in my group before I had one book out in this all new genre. This genre wasn't connected to any of my old pen names. It wasn't connected to anything. So the only way I gained readers was this new method of posting in genre-related groups and posting things that got people interested, that got people involved. Because when someone feels like they're involved in your book and involved in the process, they are more likely to then go and read your book. So if you have any other questions about self-publishing, about the process, about marketing, please leave me a comment. I would be happy to answer, and if I get enough comments about the same thing, I will definitely make a video about that specific question so that I can go a lot more into depth. Thank you so much for watching. That's all I have for today. Please click the subscribe button down below, and I will be posting more videos about self-publishing in the future. Bye!